So I can start? Okay. This is the meeting of the Bond Accountability Committee. We've been established to assist in monitoring the progress of executing the district's 2022 bond program, and we're responsible to the school board. The date is March 19th. The meeting is being live streamed and recorded and will be posted on the school district website. Welcome, everyone. BAC members, let's see, I guess school board via online, facilities, staff, and no guests. Let me remind everybody to please use the microphones when you're speaking. What you're saying is being recorded and we want it to be audible and accurate. The agenda tonight begins with no public comments, right?
That is correct. We received no public comments.
Okay. I have a few items for the committee business, and then Aaron will cover a few things, a summer intern update, a presentation about the deferred maintenance program, and then go over the typical stuff, the financials, and some of the project status. And then we'll adjourn unless someone has something else for the agenda. Okay, then we'll start with the committee items first. As a reminder, we all serve a 3-year term in our positions. And a couple of weeks ago, Aaron let me know that Aaron Watt, Ryan Bansbach, and myself are all expiring at the end of this school year. And so he asked if I would get in touch with the other two and see if we're interested in sticking around for another term. And in a weak moment, we all said yes. And so so they're stuck with us pretty much till the end of the bond period, assuming it's over sometime in 2028. So that's the first thing. Second thing is I've asked a few times about nominations for vice chair. And I have received one name, and that is Josh's name. And I'm curious if any of the committee members want to nominate anyone else. Seeing none, I suggest we go ahead and vote then. So for those in favor of Josh being the next assistant chair, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Yeah, you can vote if you want. Congratulations. Okay, good. That'll be great. By the way, the new officers take effect in the June 18th meeting, so you have that to look forward to. And then the last thing is I'm working, actually two things related to the last written report that goes to the board. I've started up a draft. It will include information from tonight's meeting, and then I will be sending it to all of you for review and comment. And I'd like to get those back. I'll get that out by Friday because I think I can do that. And then would like to get the comments back the Monday the 31st, so at the end of the month. And that way I can get it in for final review by the facilities group and then on to the board. Second thing related to that is I get to make a presentation, a verbal presentation of our report to the school board at their May 12th meeting. And I only mention that because you're all welcome to attend as committee members. And it sounds like they're going to have a presentation on generative AI as well, so it might be an interesting meeting to come to. Anyone else have anything for the committee? If not, summer interns.
Okay, thank you. It's a pretty quick update on summer interns, and I've got a little video I want to show you all too. So, you know, we've been doing this internship program the last couple of years. It's grown quite a bit. We have been, we've had a lot of engagement this year, and many thanks to Jason and his team for helping pull this off. But so far, right now, this summer we have 16 internship positions available. So 4 of those positions are with our team on our different projects, and then 12 are with our partners that we're working with. So that's primarily architects and contractors. There's a couple subcontractors that are doing it also. So these will be positions available over the summer. You can see there on the right the schedule. So we just opened this up last week. Next week we're doing a virtual open house, just to allow, well, I guess it's in a couple weeks, to allow students to, and that's Jason and I don't know who else is involved in that, but the students will be able to come and ask us questions, how's that work, what's it like, everything along those lines. And then applications close on April 11th. We've already received quite a number of applications in. And so if you all have students or know students in the district who might be interested in these positions, you can send them to our website. All the information is on here. There's a website here. And then I wanted to show you guys the video. Okay, hopefully this volume works. I don't have much control over the volume.
Yo, fam, you're just gonna spend the summer slacking? Why not show some Riz? I know a way you can glow up your future.
Glow up our future?
Slay life after graduation and make your future career a big W.
What?
Hey, VO guy, are you trying to get us to like you by using our slang?
So cringe.
Hey, Salty, don't be sus, bro. I'm just here to tell you about BSD's bussin' summer internships and make you a stand for the construction industry.
Yeah. Construction jobs are great, but you really don't need to.
Don't you mean construction jobs are lit?
Did you just Google Gen Z slang or something?
No cap.
Please stop.
Scribbity toilet.
Can you just talk like a normal adult, please?
Fine. This is our call to students who are interested in construction to apply for our summer internship program and kickstart your career. The construction industry isn't just about building buildings, it's about building a quality life. Whether you're into design, tech, planning, or hands-on work, the construction world is full of opportunities for you. We're offering exciting possibilities to students with a wide variety of interests and skills: engineering, architecture, communications, marketing, video production, social media, construction management, and work in the trades, just to name a few. This internship program is your chance to explore what's possible with a partnering company that best suits you. And you'll get paid to do it.
Hey, wasting your summer is big yikes. Make your future slap.
No, that is not how you get young people on your side. Just explain to them what this internship could do for them.
Like how it could be a first step toward a good paying job in a growing industry.
And how it offers them experiences to help them in the future.
The VO guy already did that. I'm applying this summer, 100%.
Me too. So, what's next?
It's all on the website. We put the link in the post.
Apply today and start building your future with us.
All right, so there we go. That's our advertisement. I thought that would be pretty funny to I have kids, middle school and high school kids, and they're always talking like that. And I thought this was a really funny way to go about doing this, kind of make fun of them a little bit. But many thanks to Nate Baker, who's in the control booth back here. But he made that video. He worked with some students at Beaverton High School who are in the drama program. That's who the actors were in the video. So I thought that was pretty cool. Anyway, it's going to be a busy summer. And I told Jason, this program has doubled every single year. So next year he's got to be prepared to have 32 students. Okay, deferred maintenance. So this is kind of the main topic here for this evening. My slideshow is not particularly exciting. It's a little dry, so feel free to ask questions or anything. Otherwise, I'm gonna talk. I wanted to cover how, what is our deferred maintenance program? How did we develop the budget for it? How are we prioritizing projects? Where are we at now, and what's next? So the deferred maintenance program in the bond right now, it started out in the bond as a $120 million budget. And one thing we found from the last bond that we did, the last bond was very, like, all the projects in the deferred maintenance bucket were very identified. So it was literally, here's every one of the projects we're going to do. And we found that was not, it didn't really give us the flexibility we needed in order to execute the repairs that needed to take place over a long period of time, over 8 years or so. So one thing we did at the end of the last bond is we did a facilities condition assessment. We had McKinstry go out and analyze all of our buildings, do the facility condition assessments. And this assessment is looking at every asset within every building in the district. An asset could be like a roof system. If the whole roof system is one age, one type, that counts as one asset. An HVAC unit is one asset. Finishes are an asset. Plumbing fixtures are assets. So they're looking at all the assets in the building. They're looking at when was this asset installed, what is it, what are the details, what's the manufacturer, what type is it. They're looking at remaining years, life, projected life remaining for this asset, and then they're looking at what's the anticipated replacement cost of this asset at its end of life. And what that does for us is it spits out a huge spreadsheet. So we have a massive database of 20,000 assets, and we're able to go in and dial in for, school, location, system type, asset type, sort by years remaining, all that stuff, and have costs loaded into there too. So it's a really powerful tool for us that just gives us a tremendous amount of information. Along with that, we can look at the condition scores of each building, each system. It really just helps us know where our problem areas are and where we need to focus those dollars in order to improve the condition of these schools. The way that we came up with 120 million, I wanted to have a demo for you guys, but I couldn't get it to work on this computer and this screen, so apologies. I'm going to explain it. But what this database rolls up into this visualization tool, where, like I mentioned, we can go in and sort for different things. And what you do is you go into this tool, you sort for, hey, we have, I want to look at the worst condition assets in the district. I want to look at the condition or the assets that are going to be failing over the course of this bond. So it's not all assets. It's, hey, what's going to fail in the next 6 years? You end up having to further refine it because that leaves a massive number still. Like, if you look at the replacement value of all assets in the district, it's like, $1.2 billion or something totally unreasonable. When you start to add these filters to it, you're dialing in on what are the problem areas. You're looking at which have the greatest impact on the classroom environment. Like, if this system fails, how am I going to be able to operate this building? Wall finishes and floor finishes aren't going to shut a school down. But if I have a leaky roof or an HVAC system that's not working, those could shut down a school. Those are what we need to prioritize. Those are critical to, a roof is critical to protecting the rest of the assets within the building. If you have a roof leak, it's damaging all sorts of other things beyond itself. Anyway, we did that for this bond. That's how we came up with 120 million. It works out to about $20 million a year in projects that we need to execute. The first 2 years, I would say we were not spending $20 million per year on deferred maintenance. Now we are. Now we're spending way over that. Let's see. Okay, so the next topic here, before I get too ahead of myself, is how are we prioritizing projects? So the facilities condition assessment is it's a predictive analysis tool. It's someone who is knowledgeable in an HVAC system looking at a HVAC unit and saying, you know, I think this thing's got 3 years of life left in it. And it's applying that across everything, right? Well, what happens in the field is not always going to match what we guess is happening. And so we need to have the ability to be flexible in how we execute these projects. And so we've developed this capital improvement planning group. It's most of us here with Casey, and then our maintenance department and a few other stakeholders from Risk. And we sit down and we look at, okay, here are the projects we have scheduled for the next 2 years. Is this consistent with what we're hearing from building administrators? Is it consistent with work orders that are submitted? Do we have roofs that are leaking that are not on our radar? You know, HVAC is one of those things. We hear a lot about HVAC, particularly in the fall. You know, when people are coming back into school, when it's still hot. You know, when you're operating in those extreme, like either really, really hot or really, really cold, we hear about it a lot and get a ton of complaints. And we know which buildings are working and which ones are not. And it's easy to sit down and compare those to the facilities condition assessment and see which ones we need to do. And does the building need to move up the list, or is it okay to prioritize it down the list a little bit and move something else up? So this committee, we meet twice a year and we sit down and we just talk about all these projects and go through it. And really, it's the best way to make sure that we're being flexible and keeping these buildings operating the way that they need to. What did I put in here? So here's an example at Nancy Riles. This was in 2023. We had a project to replace a chiller. We knew that the chiller was at the end of life and needed to be replaced. Actually, initially we thought, when we did the controls, we thought the chiller was okay. The assessment showed that the chiller was okay. But after we did the controls project, we got in there and the chiller had failed almost immediately. And so we had to pivot and just turn around and replace that chiller. So that note is a little bit old. That project is now done. But it's an example of having to be kind of responsive to the real world conditions here instead of just a plan that was a static plan that had been laid out already. And then updates. So as part of our closeout process, what we're doing is updating the condition, the asset database. So we have a pretty detailed closeout process in our team where, you know, say we replace an HVAC unit on a building. We have a log where we go in and fill out all the asset details for that piece of equipment, and it gets fed into this system to get updated, to update the condition, the asset inventory, I should say. One thing that we're hoping to be able to do in the future is integrate this with our work order system. So we just launched a new work order system, Incident IQ, district-wide, and it's just now getting up and running. And we're hoping that in the future that will tie directly with asset inventory, just to reduce the number of times we're having to touch this information. And so we'll have each unit will have, you know, an HVAC unit. We'll have the maintenance log tagged to it in the work order management system. So we're not there yet, but that's something we're hoping to have in the future. So here's some of the budget information. Oh yeah, go ahead.
So I assume since the schools were all built different times and different district administrations, et cetera,
Yep. systems
aren't that standardized. So you can't.
Yeah, that's safe to say.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, so, and in a new school, obviously, I mean, commercial controls today are a lot different than they were 5 years ago even,
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
So is there a move toward trying to standardize things so that, you know, if you need a chiller, you could actually buy one before you need it because you could put it multiple places, or?
Yeah, I would say the answer to that is pretty complicated. We, being a public agency, we're limited in the ways in which we can prescribe things like that. There are some things that we do prescribe. HVAC controls, for instance, is one. We use Johnson Controls on most all of our district buildings, but certainly all of the new buildings. And it's all part of this Metasys platform to where our HVAC team, that being one of our main problems, it has the most integration as far as being able to go in and make sure everything works together. Door hardware is one that just has to be the same system district wide in order for our key systems to work. Camera systems, cameras and access control, those all have to be the same. It's something we're working towards, but you really have to balance competition with the efficiency from having the same systems. Like carpet, that's not something that necessarily needs to be standardized, and it would be a detriment to us to standardize those types of things. HVAC, the units themselves is another one that the units are not standardized. We do list in our technical standards certain manufacturers that we prefer, but like I said, we're kind of limited. Perfect. Yes.
So I'm curious, what kind of contingency did you build into the estimates for the pricing or inflation? And second question, which you're not going to like, which I'm probably going to get tomorrow when I do my budget, is are you seeing any impacts on the tariffs? And
Oh,
what's that
sure.
doing to
Okay.
the
Totally
cost of
fair.
the things that we're doing?
Yep. So in the facilities condition assessment, the asset inventory database, I mentioned they list a cost, an estimated replacement cost, and so those costs do include inflation. Say, I think this unit's going to last in 3 years. I'm going to have to replace it. In there, I think it had 3% inflation, which just wasn't. It's not realistic, but we set the whole thing up in a way to be mostly flexible, right? It's not. It's more. This is the cost. What we think the cost to replace all this stuff is going to be. So it really is not a precise. It was not a precise thing, anyways. It's a bucket. It's a budget to deal with the deferred maintenance. Tariffs is the other question. That's another big question. So we've been talking about it a lot. I'll say that. Contractors are very concerned about it. The biggest impact seems to be the contracts that we are in the process of executing right now. So projects like Beaverton High School and Raleigh Hills that are already underway, we haven't heard a lot about it on those ones, other than minor things. Beaverton High School is topped out on steel already. Raleigh Hills has bought all their steel and it's all sitting on the site. Those aren't going to be impacts. The further out you go, though, a lot of computer stuff like network switches, servers, we've seen impacts on those. I hear a lot about any metal products, sheet metal and flashing and things. So we will see those costs come through. I'm certain for anything that it touches. But really, so far, I don't think we've actually received any actual claims. It's more just setting the groundwork for future claims and through contract language, making sure it's flexible enough. Oh, an elevator claim. Yeah, that's right. And it was relatively minor. That's right. That was on Beaverton High School. But yeah, we expect it'll be an impact. We expect it'll just be baked into the costs moving forward. Okay, what else did I have on here? So the budget information. And I would refer you to the financial report here. If you look on the first few pages, if you look, and I'm talking about this one, it doesn't have a page number, but under the deferred maintenance section, you can see all of the lists of the projects that we're talking about when we're talking about deferred maintenance. So the original budget, like I said, was 120 million, about $20 million per year. Currently, that number is, the number within that deferred maintenance budget is 80 million, and we've transferred about 40 million out. And mostly, almost exclusively, that's going to the seismic projects. So I'll talk a little bit more about the seismic projects on the next slide, but there's a ton of efficiency in doing deferred maintenance while we're doing these seismic projects. That's why you're seeing that number. It truly is going towards deferred maintenance work that's happening at the same time as the seismic work. Right now, the current uncommitted balance within the deferred maintenance budget is 9.7 million. That doesn't mean that we don't have an idea of where that money needs to go. That just means it's not contracted yet. So we have a whole list of projects that are not contracted, but we're early in the design phase or something like that. Yes.
Just one more question. So when you are transferring this money out, that just means that the deferred maintenance, the cost of that project is being included with the seismic, so you're not tracking it down in the deferred maintenance section?
Yeah, that's right. So if you look in the financial report, there will be the line items up above for the seismic projects. They're the Group 9 projects. You'll see that those budgets have increased quite a bit. So it's like, as an example, we've been doing Mountain View seismic. Mm-hmm. There's quite a bit of money that went into that project to replace the ceilings, replace lighting throughout the school, replace a bunch of HVAC systems, replace a bunch of electrical gear in the school. So those are not seismic things, they're deferred maintenance things, but we're doing it with the same contractor in the same contract as the seismic upgrades.
Okay, so you're just accounting for it all
Yep,
together.
we're paying for it with deferred maintenance. And accounting for it all in the seismic project. So
Awesome.
it's the same thing. It's just,
Yeah, it makes sense.
it's how we execute the work, and it's how our projects are set up in eBuilder.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Yes,
I was going to wait up for the financial report on this, but I'll go ahead and ask it now.
sir.
So speaking of the seismic projects and looking at the schools, a lot of the unallocated money from the deferred maintenance went to help the seismic projects at the schools. And there's still, I think, 3 schools that are still sitting at the original budget.
Yes.
Are you expecting to need similar allocation or reallocation of funds to help support those projects? And given the limited funds left in deferred maintenance, any thoughts on how
Yeah,
how
good
that will move
question.
forward?
So yeah, and in fact, maybe I'll pull up what you're talking about here.
We can table it till the financial report if that's easier.
Oh, it's fine. So on the screen here, it's these. So we've done Five Oaks is complete. Mountain View, we are entering the second year of work. Meadow Park, we are starting this summer, and then we have Cedar Park, Whitford, and Highland Park yet to complete. So yes, obviously you can see there is a big difference in those costs there. We had budgeted all of the seismic projects at about 6.5 million, 6.6 million. That was sort of our estimate that we had for the seismic upgrades of the school, not counting any of the other work that would be needed to go into those projects. And when we get in and do the design and look at all the other stuff going on, all the deferred maintenance, the cost goes up significantly. So I would say, yes, it would be super safe to assume that we're going to need to increase the budgets of all 3 of those upcoming schools. And in the projection I'll show you here in a little bit, I've made some assumptions as far as what that might look like. By far, the main costs going into these, as far as deferred maintenance, has been the roof replacement. The roofs these days have been wildly expensive. So Meadow Park, the cost of that roof is over half of that project. And it's a lot. So I think that, I say over half, I mean of the construction portion of the budget of the project. The roof, I think, is like 8.5 million right now. And looking at the upcoming 3, we're fortunate that Cedar Park is the only one that is going to need a roof replacement when we do it. Highland Park and Whitford both have newer roofs, so as far as the cost projection, those ones should not be as significant as we see on Meadow Park and we will see on Cedar Park. Highland Park and Whitford should come in lower. There will still be quite a bit of deferred maintenance that takes place, though. Well, that's a roundabout way of answering your question there.
Well, thank you.
Okay. Oh, and I was going to mention here are some. So there are 42 projects that are underway or complete already. Some of the really large ones that we have done so far have been the Southridge HVAC project, the Sunset track replacement, Capitol Center HVAC, stadium turf replacements. We've been doing those just every year, and then the Five Oaks roof and seismic project. Some big upcoming projects is the Aloha High School HVAC project. That one will be this summer. That one, like I've mentioned, is really expensive. What's the budget on that one now is like 25 million, I think. In fact, we just got costs in the other day. That's just a big HVAC project. Aloha High School, this is all original HVAC equipment. It's failing in a lot of places, and this is almost a fifth of the entire deferred maintenance budget when you look at it, or sixth, I guess. Sunset High School HVAC, that's another one. I don't expect it to be as big as Aloha. It's a little bit simpler school to deal with, but that'll be another large one next year. And then the two roofs I mentioned already, Meadow Park and Cedar Park. Looking ahead, taking everything that we have committed to date, looking at what we're going to need, the projects we're going to need to do over the next 3 years, I do think we're going to need to increase the budget of deferred maintenance quite a bit. I put on here about 25 million. That's a guess right now. The plan, I'm not asking for a budget transfer today on any of this, and certainly would expect to be providing you all more detail on what that looks like. But I think this fall is probably about the time frame for when we'll be making those recommendations. There's $40 million in program contingency right now, and I think a good chunk of that should go towards deferred maintenance. The deferred maintenance work is just hard. There's a lot of it, and things keep getting older and things keep breaking. You just have to try to fix them faster than they break. Yes?
I think I remember this answer from last year, but is there a deferred maintenance budget within the school district's annual operating budget?
Casey could answer that better than me, but I would say not capital replacement stuff.
Yeah, we have maintenance for general things, minor repairs throughout the district, but as far as, a $20 million project at a school, no. Also, just going back on the next phase for where additional money is coming, just a reminder, we'll be going out for a bond sale in May. It's looking promising for a potential premium. You never know. But also when we gather that money and bring it into the district, we'll also be able to invest that and increase our interest earning per quarter. As we've spent it down from the beginning for the first bond sale down, we've been tracking well, but as that money is being spent, we'll replenish that. So we should also be able to increase our program contingency in the next few years to help offset some of those costs. We'll know much more about that here once we go through that bond sale in May.
Yeah, the interest earnings from the first bond sale have been almost 20 million to date. So it's been significant. I mean, more than the bond premium, which is really interesting. But yeah, so that part of the reason to wait here towards fall is we'll have more information then. We'll know more about what the upcoming projects look like. We do have the ability to stay within the current budget if that was a need at this time, but it just means further deferring some deferred maintenance projects. But like I said, more to come later this year. Some challenges. So one of the most important facility assets we have is our roof. Like I mentioned, the roof is really what the main weather barrier of the whole building, obviously. There's a wide variety of different roofing solutions you can do out there in terms of quality and longevity. And this is something that Casey's asked us to really prioritize, is really going with the bulletproof roofing solutions. Let's pick something that is going to be as long lasting, as durable and maintainable and consistent as possible. So we are doing that, and that does come at a cost premium on these projects. But when you look at the benefit just to the facility over the life of it, I think it's really money well spent. You know, a roof's never going to be cheaper than it is today, and let's make sure to do it right today. And I think that will pay dividends in the long term. Tariffs, we talked a little bit about tariffs already. Those will be an issue. I can't say exactly how it's going to affect this budget exactly, but it probably will. It's just going to make things more expensive here in the short term and potentially long term. One example I threw up here of deferred maintenance challenges is a Kinnaman re-roof. We had initially planned to just recover the roof. Normally you can get 2 roofs on a building. You know, you have the original roof, then you can come and recover it at the end of its life. Well, at Kinnaman, we went out and did some more detailed assessment. And what we found was that there's a lot of moisture in the building, within the roof already, and trapped in the roof insulation. And one of the problems with that, beyond the obvious just mold and damage and everything, is you actually lose, if you have roof insulation and it gets wet, it loses all energy efficiency. Wet roof insulation has 0 R value. And so these buildings are just using a lot more energy than they otherwise should be. And so just based on those assessments, we're going to go in and rip out all that insulation and put down a new roof on it. And that costs more money. But it's the right thing to do. Recovering it would not have been the right thing to do. And that's part of why having a good roofer, having a good product, when you do it the first time, is incredibly important. And then we talked a little bit about seismic efficiency. So it's just these seismic projects are so invasive already during the summer. They're very disruptive to the school. We don't let them do summer school when we're doing these seismic upgrades. It's really the right time to do as much deferred maintenance work as possible. So on the right there, I listed all the stuff that we've been doing. A lot of lighting, a lot of electrical, a lot of just really even just freshening up the buildings to make them look a lot nicer. One neat thing that I don't think I even mentioned here in the report that I wanted to talk about was we have been pursuing additional funding as much as possible. So a lot of these things we are pursuing Energy Trust of Oregon or SB 1149 funding to pay for. So at Mountain View, I think like 90% of the lights that we put into the building are funded through either SB 1149 or ETO. So we're upgrading everything to LEDs, and it's mostly is paid for. So we're looking to do that everywhere we can, certainly. And you can, if you want to see the details on how much we've received, you can see that in the financial sheet. That kind of covers it for deferred maintenance. Any more questions?
Just going back, one of your early slides, you had the condition score table of
Yeah.
various assets. And I know that was there mostly as an example to show
Yep.
us. But the score, if I'm reading that right, the higher the number, the worse the score.
Yep.
So structural kind of jumps out. Is that going to improve as the seismic projects get done, or as
It
new
will,
schools are
yeah.
built, replacing the old ones?
Quite honestly, I should not have had them include the seismic work in the condition assessment. It's not really the right way to do it. But it helps us kind of visualize how to break out this work. But yeah, the seismic, the structural scores will improve as we mark off all of these seismic upgrades. Definitely, it'll be improved significantly. I mean, that literally is what that number is. We had a seismic assessment done a few years ago, and that's where it's pulling from. Any other questions?
Aaron, you mentioned you were, I think, pursuing one more grant on the seismic funding. Did that maybe this is a sensitive subject for you because you don't know.
It is very
Right.
sensitive. Yes.
Is that still in the works, or did the grant already come and go?
We're still waiting to hear back from them. So it's not going to have a tremendous impact on any of this though. So we decided to apply for McKinley Elementary School, which is not a bond project. So the application has no matching funds from the bonds or anything. So it's basically, if we receive the grant, we'll do the project. If we don't receive the grant, we're not doing the project. I hope we get the grant. Okay, any other questions before I send it to Jason? All right, let's see. You can go from page to page.
So we'll start with the executive summary. At a high level, I think Casey mentioned a couple of these items, but are currently planning for a mid-May bond sale. As we note here, the market conditions are rather turbulent. It's not to say that we're not in a good position to see premiums or other benefits from the bond sale. It's more to say that we've been communicating with the business office on our cash flow. They've been reviewing it, and when the time is right, they're prepared to pull the trigger on it. So, so they're just really keeping an eye on it at this point. As we note here, and Aaron noted as well, we've been seeing good reimbursement from SB 1149 and from Energy Trust of Oregon, and our energy manager continues to track those opportunities for us. If you're ever curious what those look like, the financial reports will show all of our additions in those financial reports. So we don't highlight every one of them here. There's just too many onesie-twosie ones that pop through, but it's definitely a benefit to the district to continue tracking that and pursuing those. From a schedule perspective, this was really just we talked about permitting being challenging for us maybe last year. We'll still run into a permitting challenge here or there, but at this point, most of our projects that are going on this summer are in for permit and tracking on schedule. And we've got a really great system in place at this point with Washington County and City of Beaverton, and feel pretty confident that that level of communication has helped kind of clear the way for getting permits a little more expeditiously. Let's see, and challenges, we've kind of all talked about this. We just keep monitoring the impact of tariffs. Sometimes they appear to be right around the corner and about to sneak up on us, and then other times they're not. So I think that's part of the reason that what we're seeing is, like, we don't really know what the impact is, because I don't really know that our subcontractors and suppliers and contractors know what the impact is at this point. We've been focused on making sure that our contracts are fair and that we understand exactly how to navigate those tariffs and other cost increases that may be related to tariffs as they come our way. And I think that's the best we can do at this point to keep an eye on the costs. Overall financials, let's see. So the financial statement, really, we're just tracking any new, at this point, it's interest earned, like Casey was saying, maybe $20 million that we've earned in interest on the first half. I don't expect to see the same level of interest on the second portion of the bond, mostly because interest rates are likely to change, and we're also talking about a lower amount of money. We're committed to more of those funds, but it's still positive to see those come in. You can see here the SB 1149. So we noted the $318,000 for Cap Center, but you can see there are other contributions to this that are showing up there. And then you can see here the expenditures to date. So we've expended about $240 million on the bond so far. Next sheet, we're not going to go line by line, obviously, but I want to just bring your attention to one particular new addition to this report, and that is that if you look in the upper right corner, you're going to see that the key now includes information on lines that will drop off after this report. So as I recall, what we're doing is after a 2-year period of it being on the report, it'll start to drop off so that we've got room to keep being as transparent as possible. You can always go to our bond website and pull an old report if you're looking for information that you're like, what happened on that project in this year? Those will always be available on the website. You can also reach out to Aaron or myself, and we can pull that information and point you in the direction of the right report. And then let's see. Sorry, I left my reading glasses at my desk. That's really the main highlight for this report. Aside from that, a lot of the movement here, kind of like Aaron's talking about, a lot of the movement is in two categories. One is modernization, and that's because we will oftentimes execute modernization of multiple sites. Let's say we're replacing carpet at 3 facilities. It's more cost effective to have one contractor, one contract at multiple sites than to bid them out separately. So we're a lot of times moving those dollars around to account for that. The other area is deferred maintenance. As new projects come up, we show the new project here, and then that new project gets funded from like the deferred maintenance bucket. So that's really the primary shifts that are happening in the financial report. Contingency transfers, you can see all of those in here. And we haven't had any since January, so there's really nothing to highlight there. You are seeing on this report the green, sorry if you'll go up just a little bit, Aaron. You're seeing here the lines here that are going to disappear after this report. And what we're going to do is we will do that in the sake of being as transparent as possible. You'll only see this pop up on reports where you guys are here at a meeting. We're not going to just hide. We're not going to hide them like in between meetings. This way, you can just know that these are going to drop off after a BAC meeting. Let's see. The next category is our equity reporting. Any questions before I move on to that?
Jason, I got one. And I think we talked about this a while ago, and I've slept since then, so I'm forgetting. Back at the top of the financial report under the Raleigh Hills project, the round numbers, $1 million in contingency transfers for the temporary relocation. Can you just jog my memory on what that was? Portables and
yeah, that's setting up the temporary site out at Greenway for the Raleigh Hills project. All right. Okay, so from an equity reporting perspective, I'm pleased to report that we are ticking upwards. I'd love for us to claim credit for this, that all of our actions over the last few months have resulted directly in this. I think the real reason it's ticking upwards is that Beaverton High School is beginning to get to a phase where the subcontractors that they targeted and were successful in doing the GMP off of are starting to show up on the pay application, which is still great news for us. It means that we have time as we continue to work with our subcontractors and contractors to select trade partners that are going to help us with our equity numbers. We have a little more time to do that, and we're having lots of great conversations with those folks to help us move this forward. So I feel pretty optimistic.
Yeah, me too. We've had a lot of good conversations with contractors and consultants, and I do expect to have some more engagement here.
Yeah, I do too.
But like we said, it'll take a little while for that to reflect in the report. But I feel good about it, and we had a number of contractors who are certified that we weren't counting as certified, so that'll help things too.
Yep. Apprenticeship hours, those are gonna. That's the next slide. Those are going to ebb and flow, but generally speaking, we're still above our target of 15%. So I think that's great. And from here is project updates.
Jeff and Eric, do you guys want to give us updates on Beaverton and Raleigh Hills?
Yeah, so out at Beaverton High School, our steel structure, is fully erected at this point. So we're finishing up final decking out there right now, canopies. So we'll have most of that finished up here probably within the next month for all of our steel. We've got most of our slabs on deck poured right now. We have temporary roofing throughout the site. We're starting actual final roofing on a portion of our building here next week if weather holds out. We've got, if you've been by the site, we did a modular approach on all of our exterior wall systems. So we were able to cover basically the whole eastern half of the building has wall system on it. We're actually going to start putting the final sheet metal on that structure here at the end of next week, beginning of the following week. That'll be actually the finished product. We have MEP rough-in happening kind of as you move around the building. So we kind of started on the northeast corner is kind of where it's mostly roughed in, and we're moving around the building right now. So that's in different stages depending on where we're at. You know, framing's happening. You know, that starts everything, fireproofing, all that stuff is proceeding on track. We're plugging along really well there. We're getting ready to order furniture here. We're getting budgets at the end of this week with our furniture vendor to evaluate that and see if we need to make any tweaks. We'll get that, and then we'll put in that order late this year before the price increase for the following year. Yeah, other than that, the project's moving along well.
Raleigh Hills has a lot of the same things going on as BHS. We're about 80% installed with our steel structure out there. We've got our slab on grade is all poured. We've got about 2/3 of our slab on metal deck poured at this point. The building has 3 main classroom wings, and we've got all of our interior framing for 2 of the floors on the northernmost wing done. We're on the ground floor framing in for the kind of middle classroom wing. We're starting on the exterior framing of our northernmost classroom wing. And then we're coming through with all of our HVAC and electrical, fire sprinkler, rough-in, kind of working, everything's working from the northernmost wing and then to the south. We have, along with our interior framing, we're putting in door and window frames in the interior of the building as well. We just started putting on some temp roofing earlier this week, starting on that northern wing, trying to get to a point where we're dried in so we can start to pre-rock some of the walls interior and continue moving on our mechanical work interior wise, but we really need to get to a point where we're dried in a little more before we can keep moving on that. But really our our big push coming up is continuing the exterior framing and then starting to sheathe the exterior of the building so we can keep moving on the interior side. We started last week out doing some work in Shoals Ferry, putting in a number of utilities, doing some different boring out there. So we're having traffic control set up pretty much every day out there while we're working in one lane or the other. And then starting to do some of the utility work around where the traffic signal is going in as well. So everything's moving well, moving on track. We're still scheduled to complete fall of this year, late fall of this year.
Just a quick question for, I guess, for both of you. So what kind of things are the contractors giving you to indicate they're on schedule? Is it simply, this is what we plan to do and you can see we've done it, or do they give you more than that?
Yeah, I mean, every week when we have our owner architect contractor meetings, we compare kind of our 3-week look ahead schedule, 3 to 5 week look ahead schedules. We compare it to what our schedule was when we kicked off the building. And so we can see if some things are lagging behind, but the important thing is tracking that, our critical path, making sure the things that have to get done first are getting done on schedule. And some things that aren't critical path, we're moving slightly faster than, and some things moving slightly slower than. But really, it's that weekly check-in that we do with the contractor on the schedules.
Yeah, and we do a similar thing. We go over the 3-week schedule in our OACs, and we actually have a monthly schedule check-in that we do with the team that goes through because our schedule is so vast and so complex. There's a lot of different metrics that they look at, but they have kind of it's like a predictive schedule matrix that they use, that Skanska utilizes. It kind of shows where they started and where they're finishing and where they're tracking. And all of those metrics are tracking above what they average on all of their projects for our project right now. So the only real changes we've had with our schedule is our street utility work, but we've been able to pivot and do other work, and that hasn't impacted the critical path. But yeah, we have a monthly schedule just to go over the raw schedule with them. And then we do go over the same thing. We have a 3-week look ahead, see how that's progressing.
Okay. Jason will take Alan.
Yeah. So Allen Transportation, we're in the schematic design phase of the project. What you're seeing here on the screen is a real basic cardboard model of the facility that we snapped a couple weeks ago. This is going to be a pre-engineered metal building. We did some analysis to make sure that even with potential tariffs, this was still the right direction, and we've confirmed that it is still the correct direction. So we're in the schematic phase. We'll wrap that up in late April. We'll have our schematic cost model at that point, and then we go on a 3-month hold for design while we get a pre-engineered metal building partner on board, so our architects are designing all of the mechanical systems and elements of a transportation facility based on the building we intend to purchase versus the lag you would have. This will also help us with permitting. Usually you would have that as a deferred, you really would have difficulty doing that as a deferred submittal. And so this should allow us to get the project done more quickly. So you'll start seeing this come to life through the BAC meetings. We'll report on this each month or when we have meetings.
Sorry, I'm not sure I heard you. You say you're going to pre-buy the building?
Well, we're going to get a trade partner on board, and the intent would be that our design professionals are designing the systems and working with the manufacturer that we intend to purchase the building from. So they would basically give us at some point a GMP for the building, and we may choose to procure it early. A lot depends. In this environment, it's really difficult to say if that's advantageous or not. So, but we moved this project forward, about 4 months or so, with the hope of avoiding, additional inflation and things like that. So, yeah.
Stoller Middle School is on track and looking really good. Substantial completion is May. I'm surprised it's probably be a little bit before that, actually. It's you can see there in the picture, the wood floors are conditioning, acclimating. But yeah, everything else there is looking really great. We'll just be wrapping up the site work and getting the fencing and everything done. But it's looking really good. Oh, it's all in now. Okay, cool. Oh yeah, that's right. We can talk about it at the end, but I'm going to suggest that we for our June meeting, which is just the tour, the bus tour, that this will be one of the places we check out. Oak Hills is coming along. We are actually going to be starting mobilizing next week on site. So it's going to be doing just a lot of kind of preliminary mobilization site work and getting in. There's some conduit and sewer line work that has to take place. So we're going to do that next week, and then full construction will start in May. Cooper Mountain is they're going to do a little bit of abatement work here over spring break, but largely this is going to be limited to this upcoming summer. This is the new office relocation. Aloha High School is going to be a busy place this summer. This is where I'm going to spend most of my time. We've got the softball and baseball artificial turf projects going on. We've talked a lot about that here. Happy to say we did just get in pricing last week, and it was right on. It actually was a little bit under budget of the new budget we talked about. So that was really good news. We're going to do the stadium turf. We're doing the HVAC upgrades. I've mentioned quite a bit. That's going to be that contract will go for approval next month to the school board meeting, but it's looking pretty good, mostly on track there. And then paging upgrades this summer. One other project, which is not bond funded, but we're going to be doing, it's construction excess tax funded, replacing the gym bleachers and flooring. Aloha is doing a mascot rebranding, so the old mascot is no more, and they've selected a new one. They're going to be the Warriors still, but it's this wolf. So we have to do a lot of rebranding as part of all these projects here this summer. Capitol Center is, the HVAC project is done. We're doing the cafeteria roof next year, and then the field project. We're still working on the schedule of that one, but it'll either be next summer or maybe even before then. We're just working on figuring out some details of traffic circulation on site before we land on that solution 100%. Seismic upgrade. Five Oaks is done, dealing with some little punch list stuff there. Mountain View, we are getting ready to start the second summer of construction at Mountain View. Last summer went really great. It was down to the wire, but it went well. And then we're getting ready to start at Meadow Park this summer. I'm not going to mention all these modernization projects. There's too many of them, but a couple of the big ones I'll mention is Sunset High School and Whitford Middle School. We're doing quite a bit of bathroom improvements, so adding more inclusive bathrooms throughout the school. But those are pretty large upgrades. Deferred maintenance. One of the big ones this summer is stage improvements. So it's going and fixing the lighting and AV systems at all the middle school stages and Southridge High School, which is overdue there. What else on here? Westview, we're doing HVAC upgrade. Westview is one of the schools that does not have air conditioning, so we're adding air conditioning there this summer and then re-roofing the modular building. Repiping. Jeff's doing some work at Beaverton High School. This is on the existing facilities. Landscaping improvements. That's been a really good project. We've got a good arrangement with the contractor. We're going around and fixing a lot of broken and failed concrete and asphalt, which exists all over the place. So we've been making a lot of improvements there. Security upgrades. This has been one of the ones I've been working on. We're going around and doing access control, cameras, and intrusion systems. We'll be doing it at every single school. And we've completed Kinnaman, Westview. Aloha's done now as of last night, I think. And then here in the next month or so, we'll be finishing all of the Park middle schools. So we have another 10 or 15 already contracted, so it's a matter of just getting that work done. got a really good contract on that one, and they are incredibly busy. They've got 4 different crews running all over the place doing those systems right now. Similarly, the paging work is following the security upgrades work. Really just upgrading all the paging systems to make them quite a bit more reliable. And same with DAS. So it's hard to describe maybe how much work is taking place with some of these projects, but there's a lot going on here. Nutrition services, so we're doing the water bottle filling stations across the district, and those are ongoing right now. So we've completed quite a bit, but that's one of our most popular projects, believe it or not. Beaver Acres Cafeteria here will start next spring, so we're in design on that one. We just got schematic design estimates on budget yesterday, I think, so that's always nice to see. Some minor special education upgrades. Been building some seclusion rooms this summer. We're going to be doing some bathroom work at Rock Creek. And that is that. Oops. So on here I included also some videos. If you guys haven't been checking out our videos, I'm going to put in another plug for Nate Baker in the control room. He does really, really cool videos. I've been super impressed with them. He puts them out on Facebook and YouTube and Instagram, and they're really good videos, and he does a really good job of looking deeper into like the impact that some of these projects are having, a lot deeper than I ever would have even realized. So it's been cool I learned stuff when I watch his videos, which is neat. And I think that covers it. So we've got another meeting in May 28th, and then we'll have the tour on June 18th. So does anybody have any questions or thoughts for future topics or anything like that?
Randy, if I could just make a comment.
Yep.
I also want to recognize and celebrate how this bond program is going here, especially fiscally. As some of us may have read and seen, not all districts are in the position we are, and we're lumped into that a bit because we have had our challenges previously. But I just want to thank the project teams and the contractors, because me coming in here, I put a tremendous amount of pressure on them to get to where we are, to be able to have the financials looked at the way they are. They've really delivered. So I want to take just a moment to acknowledge that, knowing that it's not always the case everywhere that we can highlight some of these things and be in a position that we are. So I just wanted to throw that in as a comment.
I agree. Actually, I won't name the district, but with Beaverton High School's budget, which I think is building a really nice school, you saw budgets that were 3 times that for new high schools, and I thought, what in the world are they building? But anyway, so enough editorializing for myself. The next meeting is May 28th, as Aaron mentioned. And then also June 18th, the project tours. Aaron mentioned Stoller to see the gym and classroom addition, but he and I were talking also, it might be nice to also see Westview because of the entry being completed and the concession area and several other things going on there. And then maybe stop at Oak Hills as well, because it's sort of in the same vicinity and it'll be started construction. So we kind of get to see something that's maybe coming out of the ground more than being done. But if there are others that people would recommend we see, just go ahead and send it to Aaron. Do we have any other open issues? We do need a topic for the May meeting. I don't know, maybe it'll be tariffs, who knows? Hope not. I hope not. And then another reminder, I'll get the draft report out by Friday and would like your comments back in a little over a week after that on the 31st of March. And if there aren't any other comments, meeting adjourned. Thank you.